Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Syafiqah Nadia binti Muhammad Yusof as 51158. Okay, today I will present question number 1 and question number 4. Okay, the issue is whether Alia and Aminah are able to provide allowance for her brother Ali. And then the law is in section 26 of the Contract Act 1950, an agreement made without the consideration is void unless belong to the expectation. And then section 2D of the Contract Act 1950, when a desire of the promisor, the promisee or any others has done from doing something is called a consideration for the promise. And then the case Vikata Chinaya versus Verikatara Maya, which is sister agreed to pay an annuity for her brother who provide no consideration for the promise. So the court held she was liable to pay the annuity. That was a good consideration for the promise, even though it did not move from her brother. And then the application, according to section 2D, section 26 of the Contract Act 1950, and a case Vikata Chinaya versus Verikatara Maya, Aminah and Alia have breached their promise, which is to provide the allowance for her brother IDRM 500 monthly, on the condition that their mother transfers some land to both of them. So under Malaysian law, promise or third party may provide consideration. Therefore, Aminah and Alia were able to give the allowance to her brother Ali. This is because there was a valid consideration for the promise from her mother, even though it did not move from her brother. So, in the conclusion, Aminah and Alia were liable on the promise that as there was a valid consideration for the promise from her mother to her brother. And then the next issue is whether Mr. Amit can terminate his debt to transfer property in favor to Mr. Mohan. And then the law in section 40 of Contract Act 1950, concept is say to be free where it is not caused by one of the following coercion, under influence, fraud, mispresentation, and mistake. And then section 16 1 of the Contract Act 1950, a contract is said to be induced by under influence where the relation subsisting between the parties are such that one of the party is in position to dominate the will of the other and use that position to obtain an unfair advantage over to the other. Next is the case. The case is Alcott versus Skinner, 1987. In 1867, an unmarried woman aged 27, a clergyman as a professor. The following year, she became an associate of the sisterhood, of which he was spiritual director, and in 1871, she was admitted a full member taking vote of poverty. Without independent advance, she made gift of money and stock to the Mother Superior on behalf of the sisterhood. She left the sisterhood in 1879 and 1884 claimed the return of the stock. Proceeding to recover the stock were commenced in 1885. It was held by the Court of Appeal that although the plaintiffs' gifts were voidable because of under influence brought to bear upon the plaintiff through the training she had received, she was decided to recover because her conduct and the delay. And then next to the application, according to section 40 and 61 of the Contract Act 1915, the case of Alcott versus Kinner 1887, Mr. Amit was subject to the under influence to Mr. Mohan. His spiritual advice. From the case, Mr. Mohan dominates because their relationship is based on trust. Mr. Amit believes in Mr. Mohan because he is spiritual advice. Furthermore, Mr. Amit is in pain. Thus, Mr. Mohan can take over Mr. Amit based on trust. This will call it unfair advantage. Mr. Amit believed in Mr. Mohan requested and agreed to the whole of the property to the involved. So in the conclusion, the contract is voidable at option of Mr. Amit because he is under influence of Mr. Mohan, even though the plaintiff is Mr. Amit, because Mr. Mohan dominates Mr. Amit.